Baizhu is a 5-star Dendro support capable of not only healing your entire team and active character, but also applying some off-field Dendro and buffing Dendro reactions. Unlike other healers, Baizhu does not require an elemental burst or attacking any enemies with a buff to actually party-wide heal, which you may not think about it initially, but that's actually quite a rare thing. This also makes him incredibly easy to play because he's just so forgiving. You don't have to worry about generating energy to be able to heal, and you don't have to worry about any enemies being around to actually do your healing. Not to mention his burst is also unconditional, with quite potent single target healing as well. He's Dendro? That one speaks for itself these days. Aside from the fact that he's a 5-star, he's incredibly free to play, friendly to build, with many cheap options for weapons. His Dendro application is exceptionally mobile and will always be centered around his character with a good duration that will be friendly to units like Cyno. Unfortunately, his raw personal damage is on the low end. This is in part due to his split scaling, with his attack scaling off of attack and everything you actually want to be doing with this kit being based off of HP. However, he is Dendro, so he always has the option to build Elemental Mastery and scale his damage that way if you want to focus on his damage at all. He is a melee range catalyst with the lowest defense in the entire game. However, like his low defense Liyue buddy Yolande, they both scale with HP, so they're not really going to worry about the squishiness that much. That being said, being melee isn't exactly that big of a benefit for a catalyst user. With the onslaught of Dendro that we've gotten, he has quite a bit of competition with other characters, not only in the support role, but also as a healer, with the 4-star Yao Yao being another option. However, I do think Baiju's healing is much more flexible and overall better. His Dendro application is not the fastest and most potent thing in the world. Not to mention the AoE aspect of it is rather inconsistent as well. This can result in Baizhu needing another Dendro character to either help him out with Dendro application or to use a team that doesn't rely on much Dendro application at all in the first place. Interestingly enough, Baiju's attack is melee range, and this applies to both his regular attack and his charge attack, neither of which have particularly impressive AoE, and given that he's a catalyst user, you can expect a certain level of slowness with these attacks. Even in the case that Baizhu is an on-field driver, the leveling priority for this talent will be relatively low due to the damage not coming from the attack scaling and rather from the EM that you build on him. Baiju's elemental skill sends out a projectile that will home in on enemies and attack 3 times. It can attack one target 3 times or multiple targets across all 3 hits. The Dendro application here is not very good. If it only attacks one target, only the very first hit will apply Dendro and the other 2 are just going to do damage. With all 3 hits happening rather quickly, 4-piece Tenacity the Millith will not be an option. As for leveling priority, it's almost going to be entirely personal preference. The damage is nothing to be concerned of here, and the healing will almost be entirely based on your own need. Even at a relatively low level of his skill, there's a good chance that Baizhu is going to heal more than enough for your whole team. His elemental burst provides your main character with a buff that generates shields every 2.5 seconds. When these shields shatter, whether it be through damage or just through naturally expiring when the next one generates, your active character is going to be healed, and a Dendro sprite will launch off and deal Dendro damage and apply Dendro. This will apply Dendro rather consistently even on a single target, but most importantly, it is very mobile. Unlike other characters like Kale or Nahida, who requires enemies to be marked first, this is very easy Dendro application for something like Aggravate Cyno. Your burst is going to be your highest priority talent to level. Not only is it your biggest source of damage, but it is your main field healing. The shields aren't going to do anything overly significant even against Dendro damage, but the main field healing is pretty significant. And when you're fighting things like consecrated beasts that can do quite a lot of damage to your main field, this is pretty important to level. First Ascension passive, a very simple threshold passive. High HP means he does more damage. Low HP means he heals more. The real noteworthy one here is his second passive. This is where the bulk of his damage support is going to come from. This, along with his HP scaling on his healing, is going to dictate how you build him, mostly with the goal of reaching that 50,000 or getting as close as you possibly can. And oh boy, his exploration passive, what an useless talent. Props to them for not making it a cooking passive, but he already has a heal for a skill. Artifact choices for Baizhu are going to be relatively simple and highly team comp dependent. While Noblesse Oblige and Tenacity aren't particularly viable options for Baizhu due to constraints, Deepwood Memories absolutely is. Another support option if you're willing to take the hit on your stats is Instructors. As with most healers, Ocean Hued Clam will be a potential option, but I'm not sure he has the healing to really fully support this. For Bloom teams where Baizhu is the driver, Flower of Paradise Lost will be an excellent option. And whether or not you're looking to either just maximize his healing or do some damage, you can either mix 2-piece Elemental Mastery, 2-piece HP, or just double up on either of those sets. Good news for free-to-play players is that Baizhu's weapon options are incredibly cheap and accessible. Due to both his desire for energy and HP, Prototype Amber may very well be one of his best options and also just most accessible option overall. His elemental skill also allows him to work very well with both Sac Frags and Fav Codex. And of course, there's always Thrilling Tales. With its HP substat, it is also a natural fit on Baizhu. However, due to the fact that it's the only option of these that does not benefit his energy in any way, it may not be an appealing option. If you're going to pull for any Baizhu constellations, I recommend stopping at C1. It's a very effective, simple constellation that's going to give him an extra charge of his elemental skill. This means more energy recharge and more upfront healing from his elemental skill. Team comps. Where does Baizhu fit in? What is he good at? Well, the good news is anywhere a Dendro reaction is happening, Baizhu will probably be a happy fit into that team. While he may not always necessarily be the best unit for the job, anytime you want a lot of healing and some off-field easy Dendro application, Baizhu is your man. Where I find Baizhu really shines is with Cyno, a unit that is very mobile and values exactly what Baizhu provides. Cyno doesn't like being confined to an area with a circle. He also doesn't like it when a new wave of enemies respawns that Nahida can't currently mark during his burst. Walking away from Yaoyao's skill not only puts him at risk of not receiving healing, but also she can't apply Dendro at a certain range anymore. Baizhu solves all of these problems. Is he the best? No, not necessarily. He's a strong healer. He's got easy to use mobile Dendro application. If you're sick of circle impact, Baizhu may be the exact unit you need. You can throw him in Nilou Bloom and he's gonna work great. Granted, with his A4 passive benefiting the main field character, you're going to want to play a version of Nilou Bloom where only one character is basically triggering all of the blooms. That way, they're getting the bonus. If this kind of quick guide is something that you liked, please let me know in the comments, because I would like to make more in the future and put a lot more effort into the editing and make it look just visually appealing. This is basically a pilot, a proof of concept to see if people like this. So thank you to you for watching, thank you to my members and my patron for supporting me as always, and I'll see you in the next one.
Attaboy!